Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over a topic that comes up time and time again in my industry, and this is the topic of visas. So when it comes to working in the UK, obviously if you're not a British born citizen, and if you're coming from other parts of the world, depending on where, sometimes you'll need what's known as a skilled worker visa. It used to be known as a Tier 2 visa. It's more commonly been renamed to skilled worker visa. Now this applies to people that come from certain parts of the world overseas that want to come and work here in the UK. Obviously they can't apply for ILR to begin with. They have to work here for a certain amount of time, get sponsorship to work here, on which that platform is called a skilled worker visa. Now a lot of the engineers I speak to, they get a little bit frustrated because it is hard trying to find a company that will sponsor you for a skilled worker visa. So firstly, you need to find the companies that will sponsor you. And how do you do that? Well, there's a list available on the internet of all the companies that will that could potentially sponsor you for employment. You can break this down by categories as well. So in my industry, I recruit for building services engineers. I mean, I've got a list personally, so if you need it, please feel free to get in touch. But there is a list where companies can put themselves down on this list as being able and willing to sponsor people that need a skilled worker visa. So if you're in this position, or perhaps you know someone in the position where they're looking to come to work in the UK, or perhaps they're currently here in the UK on a graduate visa. Now to touch on that lightly, graduate visa is something when people come from different parts of the world to come and study in the UK. They'll be granted a graduate visa once they've finished their studies, and that allows them to then work in the UK for 2 years once they've finished their studies, once they've passed their exams. So as a result, they can work here for 2 years in the UK without sponsorship needed. But then after that time, they will need, so those people that are on the graduate visa, they will need to transfer over onto a skilled worker visa to be able to stay in the UK and work. So that's where you begin. The skilled worker visa is where you transfer to, and you need a company that are willing and able to sponsor you for this. So this is at the company's end. They need to make certain applications to the government to be able to sponsor people for employment, to work for their company. So as I mentioned, I've got a list of companies that are perfectly able and willing to sponsor people in the UK when it comes to building services engineering, which is the market that I recruit for. If you want a broader range of companies, if you're in a different market, for instance, then there is also a resource available on the internet. Feel free to DM me or leave a comment below, and I will get in touch with you with that exact list to make life easier for you. But there are a lot of talented engineers when it comes to my industry that come from overseas and work in the UK. Some of them are very, very, very good. So it's worth bearing in mind, certainly from an employment perspective. If you're not already set up to be able to sponsor workers for their skilled worker visa, it's worth applying to the government and seeing if you can get spaces. You normally get allocated a number of spaces, but it's certainly worth doing that from an employment perspective, because you're then going to gain access to another pool of talent in the market that you wouldn't have perhaps otherwise had access to or wouldn't have been able to utilise. So I hope this video has been helpful today. If you know anyone that needs a skilled worker visa or even a graduate visa, do pass this on to them. Hopefully they get some value from it. If they don't get perhaps value from this video, and perhaps they know everything in this video already, but perhaps I might be able to explore and guide them on other areas, other details, feel free to get in touch. But for now, share, drop a comment below, drop me a like if you can, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.